David's Saturday AI Thoughts, Episode 21, 11th of July 2026. Sarah stays. What's on my mind? London was too hot for sleep last weekend. Somewhere in the small hours, probably out the back of a bad dream, a story arrived nearly whole, so I got up and wrote it down. In the morning, I posted it on LinkedIn. It goes like this. Sarah resigns on a Tuesday. Her firm keeps her anyway. Not with a counteroffer. She declined that. Before her notice period ends, her manager sits down with the firm's AI and 3 years of Sarah. Her emails, her meeting transcripts, her Slack threads, her prompt history. He asks one question. What did Sarah bring? The answer takes about an hour and is better than her handover document. Of course it is. Her handover is what she thought mattered. The archive holds what actually did. So they keep it. Sarah reappears in Slack, answering in her own cadence. Her email address quietly goes live again. A voice tool puts her back in the Monday meeting for whenever someone asks what Sarah would say. 6 months on, 2 new joiners assume she works remotely. Then the finance director does the maths. If the firm can keep 80% of a person for the price of tokens, what exactly was the salary buying? Hiring flips from permanent seats to short licensing deals, and the sharpest people arrive on day one carrying their own archives and negotiating royalties. The full story is on LinkedIn, along with the comments. Every step of it is possible with tools that exist inside firms today. Nothing needs a research lab. It needs an archive your firm already holds. And intent. The comments chilled me more than writing it did. Wasn't this a Black Mirror episode? Asked one reader. Another told creatives to stop giving corporate psychopaths ideas. 2 commenters with legal and governance backgrounds began sketching, entirely seriously, the employment clauses and compensation models that would have to exist. And one reader had already lived a small version of it. One of 2 final candidates for a job asked to prepare her best strategic thinking to break the tie. She did her best work. She didn't get the job. She suspects her ideas did. Writing it changed something for me. I'm a glass-half-full person. I've spent most of these Saturdays on what this technology makes possible because that's what I mostly see. People working better, quicker, and happier. I still believe all of that. But I've been underweighting the other half of the story. The serious risks aren't distant, and they don't wait for new capabilities. They're available now to anyone with bad intent and a subscription. So I want to spend more time on the downsides in the coming weeks. I think we all should. The more clearly we imagine them in advance, the better our chance of actively heading them off, building the contracts, the norms and the habits before the fact, rather than sleepwalking into situations where these things can be done to us. I'd like your help with that. What's your big fear? The one that would keep you up on a hot night, whether it's about your job, your firm, your kids, or your data. Reply and tell me. I'll bring your worries together in the coming weeks, anonymized as ever, and we can look at them properly, which are already happening, which are preventable, and what prevention looks like. P.S. On Wednesday afternoon, the 15th of July at 3 p.m. UK time, I'm on a webinar with LEK Consulting, What Happens When AI Understands, Learns and Acts on Its Own. Rob Wild, who leads LEK's digital and AI work, hosts Somnath Biswas, head of AI products at the AA, and Scott Brightanother, co-founder of the open source coding agent Kilo, join me on the panel. It's exactly the territory above, from the opportunity side as well as the risk side. Systems that remember, learn and act with growing independence and what leaders should do now. The registration link is in this week's email. Next Saturday, I'll bring together your fears and worries, the visions of the future many of you sent in when I asked a few weeks ago, and the perspectives from that discussion.
Here are 3 things worth knowing this week. Number 1. 80% cut jobs for AI. It didn't pay off. The reflex to shed staff because the software can now do the work is finally testable, and the data says it loses. Gartner, the research firm, surveyed 350 executives in a study published back in May. 80% reported workforce cuts tied to AI, yet the firms that cut saw no better financial returns than peers who kept headcount steady. Institutional knowledge and engagement fell in the cutters, and the stronger results came from augmenting people rather than replacing them. However, the reflex was on show again this week when Microsoft cut 4,800 jobs, 2.1% of staff, alongside a fresh $2.5 billion AI unit. Its people chief said the roles weren't being replaced by AI. Cutting people is just the wrong way to capture the value, and now there's a number to back that up. Number 2. A Nobel economist says AI won't repeat the PC-era productivity boom. Christopher Pissarides, a Nobel laureate in labor economics, reckons AI is unlikely to recreate the productivity boom the personal computer delivered. Ouch. His logic: up to 40% of jobs in the United Kingdom, think nursing and hospitality, are barely exposed to AI at all, and the heavily exposed sectors like finance would need implausibly large gains to lift Western productivity on their own. He sees little sign of a boost in the numbers so far. Certainly your own AI results can be real and measurable, while the economy-wide figure barely moves. Leaders keep getting caught between the two. The anecdote says it's working. The aggregate says nothing much has changed. Now a Labour economist of his standing is saying that out loud. Number 3. 40 of 86 students scored a perfect 100 when the exam went home. I'm an optimist. I believe people have good intentions, and I believe people will use AI well, but a Brown University economics professor moved a midterm to take-home format, and 40 of 86 students scored a perfect 100. When he moved the final back in person, the class average collapsed to 48.6%, the lowest in the course's history. It's being called one of the biggest AI cheating cases yet, but the more useful reading is as a controlled experiment. Largely the same students, the same material, the tool available or not. The gap between the take-home hundreds and the in-person 48.6% is the size of the skill the AI was quietly doing instead of the student. The question it raises for leaders: your team might be getting perfect scores on the take-home version, but can they still do the in-person one?
Three things to try. Number 1, split the job. Let the strong model plan and check, and a cheaper one do the work. Dharmesh Shah, the founder behind HubSpot, who now writes at simple.ai, has a tidy answer to the bill that arrives when you run everything on your best model. Ask the expensive model once to write step-by-step instructions a cheaper assistant could follow every time. Run the task itself on the cheaper model. Then hand the result back to the strong one to grade against its own plan. You pay premium rates only for the thinking and the checking, never the grunt work. The same week Shah published this, a large company reportedly burned its entire 2026 AI budget in 4 months by doing the opposite. Number 2, ask the model to regroup the data around the decision you're actually making. Last week I was staring at a group grocery order for a retreat, and the same things were scattered all through it. 3 cheeses in one place, 3 more further down, milks and juices spread out because that's the order the supermarket puts them in. So I asked the model to put it back together my way. All the cheeses together, quantities added, each item tagged by which meal it was for, rendered as a clean table I could think with. That's the general move. A list, an export, or a bank statement is almost always arranged for some system's convenience. When it's hard to reason about, don't read it harder. Ask the model to rearrange it around the decision you're trying to make. Number 3, write your one-line refusal before you scale a single agent. CVS Health, the American pharmacy and health insurance company, drew its boundary in 1 sentence before scaling anything. AI will never make decisions. Period. Hallelujah. More should say this loudly. Underneath sit 3 hard nevers. Never diagnose a patient, never drive a claim denial, never take the human out of the patient's experience. Every use case has to fit inside the line or it doesn't ship. It sounds limiting to many, but their agentic claim system still assembles the eligibility and coverage data and recommends next steps, and complex claim time fell by more than 20%. A one-line refusal travels through an organization faster than a strategy deck. Write yours, then hold your current and planned AI use cases up against it, please.
What readers said. The sharpest reply pushed back on where the effort has moved. A reader who spends their days moving between framing a problem and reviewing what comes back agreed the review muscle matters, but argued the two are inseparable. The real thinking happens in the iteration of review and framing, and each pass reshapes the question, not just the answer. They also found working alongside a model made the day more intense, not calmer, as parallel runs tempt you into juggling too much at once. A second reader, whose product is really the team they build around a hard problem, reframed the essay. Reviewing was never just a senior check. It verified you were growing real human capability, and heavy AI assistance quietly weakens that link. One reader admitted the deck in HTML tip had been my best kept secret.
I've also been looking, as usual, at what readers are posting on LinkedIn. Readers weren't taking much on faith this week. Samir Modder, Measurement Innovation Lead at ITV, the British commercial broadcaster, shared a study habit. Take AI research you can't follow, feed it to your favourite model, turn the thinking up to max and make it explain itself. Nick Graham, founder of Vertimus, a research and analytics consultancy, reckons most AI projects fail not on the technology, but because the tool never gets wired into how the business works. Jesse Canner, founder of The Write Kit, a content and writing studio, sat with the New Yorker's uncomfortable but careful profile of OpenAI's Sam Altman and decided that scrutiny is exactly what the moment needs. And Phil Leslie, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Cornerstone Research, the litigation consulting firm, read Anthropic overtaking OpenAI not as a horse race, but as the case for staying able to switch when the frontier moves.
That's it for David's Saturday AI Thoughts this week. This is a faithful reading of the email edition. The full written version, with all the links and sources, plus 6 bits that didn't fit, full reader letters, and full community voices, is at stedman.ai. Thanks for listening.